Hey, what's going on, guys? Bflattened here with a brand new video today. Today we're going to be going over another highly requested build, Chain Zane. So this is a level 72 update for Chain Zane. Let's just get right into the skill trees and then the build itself. Show you some kills with it and how we do it. So we're using the magazine size increase for our Redistributor. The increase of 25% is actually very nice. It's the only thing you need in the red tree. Into our blue tree is a very standardized Zane. It's violent speed, violent momentum, cool hand for reload speed. Seeing red because we're using a cannon. Our cannon is going to be able to proc all of our kill steals just by activating it whenever we need to. So that way you don't need the Seeing Dead class spot. Violent Violence, you get fire rate for a ×2 because it can stack twice. Playing Dirty, you get extra projectiles, a 75% chance for an additional one. Good Misfortune, killing an enemy increases the action skill duration, so you can have your barrier up for a longer period of time. The barrier is really, really nice with the Redistributor because every single shot that goes through the barrier will always be amped, and every single time that you have an amped shot, the Redistributor will chain. Death Follows Close, all of Zane's kill steals gains increased effect and duration by 25% and a 7-second duration. To our purple tree, Deja Vu. If you kill an enemy with a crit, you have a chance to add a ammo to your magazine. It's pretty much the only good one to start with. Accuracy handling for mana focus is it's okay, not really needed. Deja Vu is probably going to be the only one that's actually necessary, or decent enough to move down the tree. So Commitment and Headman's Hand, these two are very vital for purple tree Zane. Commitment will give you increased gun damage and cooldown rate, and Headman's Hand will give you critical hit damage. They both will stack twice. Domino Effect, when you score a crit, you gain increased fire rate and reload speed. If you score a crit with your action skill, it doubles the effect. So having the fire rate on the Redistributor and extra reload speed, very, very nice, especially in combination with Cool Hand. Here, will action skill cooldown rate and scoring a critical hit will increase the effect. It stacks as well up to 15 times. So if you need to have some cooldown rate for your cannon, this is the way that you do so. Eraser, if you shoot through enemies, it'll pierce 120% extra pierce damage for the enemy that you're going to be hitting with a crit and going through. Very nice. Our man Flint is going to have a 2 out of 1 because we have it on our class mod, but aiming down sights will give you bonus damage that will automatically apply to your status effect when you score a critical hit. So since we're using a cryo redistributor, if we're aiming down sights, we're getting 50% extra damage on top of it, and if we score a crit with it, anything that will be crit will automatically apply a status effect of cryo. Even though it doesn't have a status effect, it'll just automatically freeze them with no questions asked. Hardy Stock just for maximum shield capacity, Adrenaline for some cooldown rate to move down the tree a little bit. You can throw them into Ready for Action for shield recharge rate, but it doesn't really matter. Brain Freeze, whenever you score a crit on an enemy, there's a chance they will be slowed. This effect stacks until the target is frozen. If you're not aiming down sights with your Arman Flint with a cryo weapon, Brain Freeze will basically do the exact same thing if you score a crit while not aiming down sights. So no matter what, if you're aiming down sights or not aiming down sights, if you score a crit, you'll basically freeze the enemy. We're using it with Charge Relay and All-Rounder on our barrier. And we have Colder Shoulder and Proliferation, so we can get 2 extra Mantis Cannon shots to keep up our kill steals even further. Into our gear, our main weapon, the Redistributor, is a Cryo Radiation because of URAD. 18-7 on the Redistributor. It's very, very nice damage. It can do some single targets on it, which it wasn't able to do that previously. It can do that pretty well now. And also the URAD is going to be universal to all of our damage, so it's also very nice. Backburner with next 2 mags radiation. This is like a fight for our life weapon. Free Radical, if there's something that is really, really tanky, or a Frostbite heavyweight, so we can't do a ton of damage to it, Free Radical will take over for a single target option. The Revolter, we get 200% extra shock damage, and we also get 50% fire rate. On the Redistributor, more fire rate, more damage. It doesn't really matter what nade you use here. I just use a Fish Slap because it has bonus fire damage. I'm using Cryo, URAD, and Shock primarily, so having bonus fire damage on it is really nice. Atom Bomb Deathless. This is for the mag size, area of effect damage, and radiation damage passives. The Deathless will give us URAD capabilities, and also the aura damage and aura burst damage in case a rad explosion goes off. Will be very nice as well. And finally, the Spy Con with Hyperion crit, Hyperion damage, and SMG damage. This is going to be all diving into our Redistributor. 3 to Commitment, 1 Headman's Hand, and 1 R-Man Flint. This was probably one of the better setups for the skill splits, because getting 1 R-Man Flint is actually very important. And I think that's everything on the build that we need to discuss. There is another version that you can do with this if you'd like. You can do Frozen Heart with a Icebreaker Deathless instead. Frozen Heart will cause it to freeze all the enemies around you automatically, and then the Icebreaker will do extra damage to frozen targets. It comes with mag size, radiation, area of effect, whichever is in your preference. Feel free to play around with that.
I got split.
Getting into the mobbing capabilities. The single target damage is definitely there when it wasn't there previously. It's quite nice. Going down rather often. Oh, that thing has a cryo resist. A lot of people say that Zane cannot fight for your life. This one can. There's something in my way. There we go. That's much better. Jordy, what's going on, man? Hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. Good to see you. Good to have you. So having all this fire rate passive that have been thrown into our Redistributor, we can shoot this rather quickly. The more that we're shooting our Redistributor, the more that it's chaining. The more that our barrier is up, the more that we're chaining also. See, there's a single target right there. And it was a badass. It got ran over. Cryo and Radiation Redistributor is probably your best choice. You could mix up the elements as well if you'd like. Radiation wouldn't work as effectively as Cryo Radiation would, but other elements, if you'd like to try them out as well, would be a great option. I prefer Cryo Radiation because they're some of the more neutral elements in the game. There's not a lot of things that are immune to it. Not a ton of things that are immune to Cryo or Radiation. There are things that resist it for sure, but immunity, not so much. A lot of frozen targets around here. Having only 1 HP, you do have to be rather cautious about some of the enemies that can go through your barrier, or having elemental pools on the ground, or if you're entering in water. You also have to make sure not to activate your cannon through there, because you don't want Mayhem 10 water to take over for you. So I would refrain from activating your cannon inside water, otherwise you will take a ton of damage. Having no salvation to lifesteal, or having no health gating whatsoever, is not really ideal. The barrier's there to basically protect you from everything from enemies, but barrels and Mayhem 10 water definitely still exist, and they definitely still hurt. We're gonna go ahead and power through to Trant. The Redistributor is probably not your best choice for bossing in any way, shape, or form, because not only is it single target, but usually there's not really a lot of enemies that you can chain to, at least immediately. Things like bosses, I would do things like backburners or free radicals just to clear them really quickly. Both of them work fine. It's not going to be the fastest boss in the world. This is definitely going to be more of a mobbing machine than anything else. Quite a... Of course we get a Texpert. course, we get attack spray. Just to give it a little bit of an example, the Redistributor on a boss. I'll send that out right away. Gonna be a resistant, unfortunately, due to this Trant. And oh, it actually did a little bit better damage than I was expecting. That's not terrible for a... not terrible for resistant or a Redistributor being single target. That's not the worst in the world. Actually went a lot better than I was expecting. Very nice. I think that is pretty much the entire build. If you would like to pick up the build for yourself, it is in Discord as of the time of the upload of this video. There's a bunch of other things if you want to play around with it. Seeing Dead on here if you prefer Seeing Deads, Icebreakers, Toboggans, bunch of different items to play around with. Guys, my name is Bflattened. I'm signing on out of here. Take care, all. Laters.